Hello everybody, I hope everyone's having a good day. Well, my name is Daniel, I talk about Essendon. Welcome if you are new to the channel. Just lately on this channel, as most people would realise if you're regular viewers, I've been going through all the players on Essendon's list, having a look at their strengths, their weaknesses and what we can expect of them and what they can bring to Essendon in the 2026 season. And hopefully we can get some improvement out of a lot of these players, and it could be some different role changes, it could be some all sorts of different things, but we've been going through what we expect out of all the players on Essendon's list. So today we're going to have a look at Angus Clark, who was a really, I think a fan favourite amongst a lot of players, especially after his debut last year in the Dreamtime game at the MCG. 19 years old, country boy, pick number 39 in the 2024 National Draft. He's out of contract in 2026, and he did have a bit of a collarbone injury early in the year, but burst onto the scene in that first game, and he kicked 3 goals in that first game against Richmond, which was pretty special if you were watching that game. So we do expect, I think, a lot out of Angus over the coming years. He is one of the players, I think, of all the players that made their debut last year, I kind of look at Angus Clark as a potential 200-game player. You know, you don't want to build up everyone too much, but I kind of think that he would be the type of player that would establish himself in the side next year. Brad Scott, I think, even did say during the year that with the injuries and with players like Angus Clark coming into the team, there were some players that would hold their spot in the team regardless of the injuries, and he was referring to Clark. So I would expect Angus Clark to be a member of our best 23 next year. I mean, that might be a big call, but I do think that he showed enough last year that he can build on that and be a pretty good player for us in the coming years. So he is rated last year as our 32nd best player, which, you know, you can take that for what you will. I've been going through all those champion data rankings, but like from 14 matches was rated as our 32nd best player. Averaged 15.1 disposals, 3.8 contested possessions, 5.1 marks, and he chipped in for 5 goals. Of course, 3 of those were in his first game. He's regarded as a good interceptor of the ball. He can read the play. He seems to play beyond his years. Now, when I look at him, I don't know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. But when I see him play, even as a youngster, I kind of feel like he's already played 40 games. He hasn't, but he's played 14. But it kind of feels like he's 21, 22, and he's already played, you know, a couple of seasons. He plays quite mature. That's not to say hasn't got weaknesses. He does, and there's a few things I'm going to build on that in a minute, and we're going to have to work on it. But he does play quite a mature game, I think, and he looks and plays mature, even though he's a young country boy. He doesn't sound mature when he talks, that's for sure. He's a clean, penetrating kick. He's got pretty good mark, and he's deceptively tall as well, 189 centimetres, and maybe still a couple of centimetres growth in him. You kind of think of him as being a small player, but really he's quite tall, and he's probably capable in an emergency of, he won't play key position, but he's probably capable in an emergency of holding down a key position. I think with his athleticism and endurance, he really needs to have a running role. We always hear the stories of him winning the time trials. I think he won the 2-kilometre time trial a couple of weeks ago when training started. He was really good at that last year. He's got elite endurance. So the important thing with that is if he's got elite endurance, you've got to play to those strengths. You've got to give him a role where he can have an advantage over his direct opponent, or at least break even with his direct opponent in terms of his physical capability. Someone who is elite, and he is elite with endurance. I mean, we're talking about a 19-year-old that can win the 2-kilometre time trial over 40 other players on the list, right? He's exceptional at that. So, they need to really play to those strengths going forward. So I think a half-back role, moving off onto the wing, even spending a little bit of time in the midfield, I think is where his future is going to be at this point. It's hard to pin down a particular position for him at this point. I think it would suit him if they could pin something down. But look, at the moment, I think he's going to be a bit of a utility, and he might have a few different roles for us. In terms of some of his weaknesses, probably some positional awareness, lapses under pressure, things like that. He can easily get caught out and flat-footed in transitions. One of the hardest things to learn for younger players is that transition from attack to defence when you win or lose the ball. It's hard on all the young players. Decision-making at this stage is still quite raw. You can tell he's quite young. And his frame is very skinny still. He does need to put on some kilos. He's tall, but he's skinny. And that perhaps means he can get pushed off the ball a little bit. But you know what? Given his physical height, once he puts a bit of bulk on over a couple of pre-seasons, he's going to be a very difficult player. He's not what you'd call a skinny inside. Well, he's skinny, but he's not what you'd call a small inside mid or anything like that. You know, one of the things that Matt Rosa was trying to do is trying to attract and recruit bigger bodied players. I think Angus Clark will develop into a bigger bodied player. He's much bigger than what you think he is, and I think when he puts on a bit of size, he's going to be very, very hard to stop. I think his run as well complements our new draftees, all of the midfielders, you know, Sharp, Farrow and Roby, and I think you know, that I can see Clark being a bit of a potential line-breaking player. So, you know, can he maintain his spot in the team? Like, I do think he can, but there's still, you know, a fair way to go for him. So what questions have I got on Angus Clark going into the 2026 season? Well, the first one is, can he bulk up his frame to handle the physicality required? I think this is a priority. I think Matthew Innes and the team really need to get some, you know, some muscle onto some of these guys. And I think they will. Once he does that, he's going to be a very, very hard player to stop. The second question I've got of Angus Clark is, will he have a defined role? This is probably one of the key questions, I think. Like, it's hard to pin down. You kind of think of him as being a half-backman, plays on the wing a bit, pushes into the midfield. But what is his role going to be? As mentioned a bit earlier in the video, I think they need to play to his strengths and play to that elite running capacity that he has. So, yeah, what will his defined role be? The third question is, can he convert the hype of his Rising Star nomination into consistent output? He wasn't particularly consistent last year. He played a couple of good games, but he did get those games into him, those 14 games into him. It's not just about getting games into you. It's about developing players. I think too much time at Essendon, we think, oh, you know, these players, give them 20 games and you know, where they had the 14 games last year, that's great. But, you know, are they developed? Are the development coaches, you know, developing these players suitably for an AFL career? Now, I've got some faith with the current Essendon setup. I think we're starting to go about things the right way, because we've got to make sure that a player like Angus Clark can reach his potential, because this is what we need. He's one of our key draftees, a key pillar of our rebuild. I think he's going to play 200 games, and we need him to reach his potential, and we need the Essendon coaching staff and development team to have some sort of defined role for him, I think, at least early on, in order to get the best out of him. So what do you guys think of Angus Clark? I think most people will be really happy with Angus Clark on our list, and we'll be expecting a lot out of him. He'll have a breakout year at some point. I'm not sure 2026 will be a breakout year. I think look for 2027, 2028 for that breakout year. Still only young, only his second year. But I still expect big things, and I expect him to start being a regular member of the starting 23 next year. Well, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And as always, go Bombers!